Our presentation is on psychodynamic. I am Elizabeth Burns.
Jordan Jones. Danielle Little. Hope Lane.
All right, so introduction to psychodynamic theory. I took this right out of Webster's dictionary. 3 different definitions. One is the psychology of mental or emotional forces or processes developing especially in early childhood and their effects on behavior and mental states. Number 2, an explanation or interpretation as of behavior or mental states in terms of mental or emotional forces or processes. And 3, motivational forces acting especially at the unconscious level. All right, so a little history. It derives from the theory and technical procedures of psychoanalysis, which originated from Sigmund Freud. Earliest influence was in the 1920s. Psychoanalytic psychotherapy and psychodynamic psychotherapy are used interchangeably. Influences from Annette Garrett, Melanie Klein, and Erik Erikson. So Annette Garrett, in a publication that appeared in 1940, became one of the first social work authors to comment on the transformative impact of Freud's work on social work theory and practice. She observed that the concepts of social diagnosis and social treatment, originally derived from the pioneering work of Mary Richmond, had gradually evolved into psychosocial diagnosis and psychosocial treatment. Melanie Klein, according to Professor Brown's PowerPoint, the incorporation of Freudian ideas into social work practice thus enabled social workers to individualize person and environment configuration. Each client was regarded as having a unique set of personal experiences, specific strengths and weaknesses peculiar to him or her, and highly individualized characteristic ways of operating in the world. And Erik Erikson created the stages of psychosocial development model that we reviewed in class.
Okay. So, psychodynamic versus psychoanalytic. Sigmund Freud's theories were psychoanalytic theories. It had 2 meanings. First, it is a theory for understanding clinical presentations and perhaps just even people in general. It's also used to describe a form of more intensive psychotherapy, like several times weekly, long-term treatment. Psychoanalytic theory was partly developed based on this form of intensive therapy. It guides the practice of psychodynamic therapy, but not entirely. Psychoanalytic therapy has to be done by a certified psychoanalyst, and a lot of insurances won't cover something as intense, and there's unconscious thought and motivation that goes along with that. Okay, so psychodynamic, this theory states that events occur in our childhood have a great influence on our adult lives, shaping our personalities. The term psychodynamic refers to both Freud's theories and those theories of his followers. This therapy is more modern, so insurance will cover it. It's more brief, so usually once weekly instead of several times weekly. Awareness of one's own cognitions and how they can relate to their consciousness. Psychodynamic theory, usually this one is like a lot more brief, like I said. 15 sessions wouldn't be unusual, and it's similar to the number of sessions, like if it were to be like CBT or another kind of therapy.
Okay, the goals of psychodynamic theory, just you have to decide, it's for the class to decide which one doesn't belong. And then the answer is change a client's thoughts, moods, and behaviors. That's a CBT goal.
And this is when we throw candy at them.
Good job. And then essentials for applying psychodynamic theory, the therapeutic relationship, which would be contracting, which is defining specific roles of the worker or client, determining the number of sessions, frequency of sessions, cancellation fees, etc. Worker must display unconditional positive regard, genuineness, and empathy in order to create a safe environment for client. Collaborative effort between worker and client. Workers take a role of neutrality. The client is asked to look at themselves in an objective manner alongside the worker in order to examine the unconscious. The therapeutic relationship is the vehicle for the therapeutic process.
Therapeutic dialogue starts with free association, which is when a client is encouraged to express whatever is on his or her mind at will, and the client owns the hour and decides where to go and where to start. It's to obtain the raw data and not the edited data right as it occurs. Another part of therapeutic dialogue is therapeutic listening, which is when the worker's goal is when listening is to uncover the latent contents of the client's communications. And then there's the interpretive process, and we are asking the class to please choose two that are not a part of the interpretive process. One is confrontations, observations, which is one word, repeat a word, the client said, and then a question. Interruption is stopping the client from speaking when they are having a breakthrough moment. Clarification, to clarify details. Distracting, worker frequently checks their phone for text messages and or computer for emails while client is talking. Interpretations, to make the unconscious conscious to the client. And working through, which is continual repetition of interpretations. Class, what do you think the two are that are not a part of the interpretive process? What's that? Interruption. Good job.
Yay!
And the second one? Distracting.
Woohoo!
That's right. No worker should be on their phone checking their text messages or computer, and they shouldn't interrupt the client while they're speaking, especially when they want to obtain that raw data.
Okay, so now we're going to discuss the id, ego, and superego. The id is an instinctive component of personality. It's impulsive and unconscious. It does not change with time or experience, and it's not in touch with the external world. The id consists of all inherited, so biological components of personality present at birth, including the sex instinct and things like the aggressive instinct, and it operates on the pleasure principle. The ego is the mediator / decision-making component of the personality. It seeks pleasure like the id, but it's more realistic than the id is. Secondary process thinking goes along with the ego. So then what happens if the ego does not succeed in its attempt to use the reality principle? So if the ego fails in its attempt to use the reality principle and anxiety is experienced, an unconscious defense mechanism is employed here. The superego incorporates the values and morals of society. It develops between the ages of 3 and 5. The superego controls the id's impulses, sex and aggression. And this superego persuades the ego to turn to more realistic goals rather than only realistic goals. So now I have an activity. It's about Cat in the Hat. Okay, so we'll send this to you, Professor. So the directions are to read each quote from the Cat in the Hat and decide whether it fits best with the id, ego, or superego. So the first quote is, "I know some good games we could play," said the cat. "I know some new tricks," said the Cat in the Hat. "A lot of good tricks, I will show them to you. Your mother will not mind at all if I do." That's the id. So we sat in the house, we did nothing at all. So all we could do was sit, sit, sit. And we did not like it, not one little bit. That one was the ego. And no, 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 not in the house, said the fish in the pot. They should not fly kites in a house. They should not. Oh, the things they will bump. Oh, the things they will hit. I do not like it, not one little bit. And that was the ego. I can't remember the last one I said. Okay, that was it.
Good job, class. Okay. Another activity we had, which was going to take about at least 3 to 4 minutes to read, is our case study. Should I read it?
Yeah.
Okay. A group of girls get into a verbal argument after one of the girls is accused of ruining an art project which did not belong to her. 2 of the girls start to yell obscenities at the girl who allegedly ruined the project. This girl retaliates by threatening violence. The 2 other girls follow suit. Eventually, the argument escalates further to more yelling and threats. When questioned later individually, it is learned that one of the girls had a rough phone call with her mother and found out her father would not be visiting her. Another of the girls had a similar experience as her parents visited during the week and she did not get along with them. Finally, the girl accused of ruining the project was just admitted and angry at her parents for placing her in treatment. One of the behavioral techs redirected the girls to playing sports and painting. Then the girls seemed to calm down and de-escalate. We're going to ask the class to please choose 2 defense mechanisms that the 3 girls are utilizing and why. Please explain. And are there any other defense mechanisms at work here? If so, can you explain? And then there's about 10 here to choose from. Anybody want to guess? Okay, good job. The correct answers are displacement, which is the transferring or discharging of emotional reactions from one object or person to another object or person. The second is repression, which is defined as an unconscious mechanism by which threatening thoughts, feelings, and desires are kept from becoming conscious. The repressed material is denied entry into consciousness. The explanation, Hope.
Cool, thanks. All 3 of the girls are using repression and displacement as defense mechanisms. The first girl's upset and probably hurt because her father is not coming to see her, so she takes her anger and pain out on another girl. She has been hiding her hurt and anger, but is now releasing it in the form of being aggressive towards another girl. The second girl is upset because her parents did come to visit her, but things did not go well because she did not get along with her parents. She too has been holding in her anger and pain now to release it on someone else. The third girl is angry because her parents placed her in treatment and she is displacing that anger on someone's project. Is that right? Okay. While the first 2 girls are displacing their anger on another human, the third girl displaced her anger onto another object. Nonetheless, they are all displacing their emotions they have towards their parents while maintaining positive relations with their parents. As a possible third defense mechanism is occurring, interjection. The girl who is being accused threatens violence, and the other 2 girls follow suit by threatening violence as well to keep them from feeling inferior.